Linda Vista Hospital, it's been around since 1904, so it's well over 100 years old. It was initially constructed by the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe Railway Company in order to take care of their employees. When the 1950s came around and the big freeway boom started in the United States, or in Los Angeles particularly, they kind of cut through the cities and ended up kind of segregating these little neighborhoods. So by the 1980s, the hospital ended up being sold and ended up becoming a public hospital. That's when you begin to hear stories. We've heard a lot of reports of a lot of neglect and a lot of abuse that has gone on between the staff and the patients here at the hospital. One of the worst stories that I was able to track down, I actually heard from an ex-hospital administrator who worked here during the 1980s for about 3 years. And he said that they were so, it's such a low-income neighborhood that the city really wouldn't give them very much money to do things. So they were incredibly understaffed. So they would have patients come in and they just couldn't keep up with them. So one of them would pass away. They didn't have time to deal with the body. They've got a waiting room full of patients and people in the emergency room. They would take the bodies and stuff them in the janitor's closets and in the laundry room and in the linen closets and just leave them there. The hospital ended up closing. The emergency room closed in the 1980s at some point, and then it finally closed down altogether in 1991. And pretty much from that point on, it ended up becoming a filming location. And even to this day, I can't tell you how many complaints we get on a monthly basis of the film crews that are here, which are almost constantly, of things being, interrupted, the noises, the bizarre stories that people have been experiencing. It really happens all the time.
How often do you do yoga?
I haven't done yoga in years because my favorite coach actually retired. I was a very strange, bendy little girl. I started as an actress as a child, and then, honestly, my older sister wanted to play with something I was playing with, and naturally, as big sisters do, you should all know that the doctor or nurse with the dark hair downstairs is my big sister, who helped me to figure out my superpower, contortion. Well, she grabbed both legs and dragged them behind my head, and when they kept going, my dad, who's, has a history in the circus, kind of went, oh, good, we got one of those in the family. I can make a buck with that. And yoga didn't actually fit into my life for a lot of years. I finally tried, went, hey, that's not so bad.
So I was wondering if you guys, in being a part of this particular movie, if you guys got any kind of reaction from people in a negative way, or was it positive?
Do you want to take that, Bonnie?
Sure. Well, number one, no one recognized me.
Yes.
So fortunately, I was spared a lot of that. Some of the online stuff was fantastic. I was accused of many strange things, from, obviously the yoga questions to true possession. My church liked it a lot. It was very difficult. They're like, oh, Bonnie's going to Romania. What are you doing, sweetheart? I'm like, oh, Irving, I'm playing a possessed girl. He's like, oh, well, good for you. When should we all go see it? So I don't know if that's a good idea. They were very supportive, but in the end, I really kind of was like, you guys don't have to go see it. I see a lot of bad words.
How did you prepare yourself for your character in the film? Because Maria, I was very impressed, I must say.
I suppose there are 3 different starting points, 4 probably. It's what terrifies the life out of me. And I remembered when I was a kid, it's you do that zombie walk. It was like the Daleks came out with Doctor Who. And it's I am a Dalek. And if you just did it enough, it was get away, stop it. It's that kind of blank expression walking towards you. And then I thought about The Crucible, which is the Arthur Miller play, which is the witches in the play, and the hysteria, and you know, the kind of mounting hysteria. And then a bit of Jack Nicholson from The Shining.
God bless him.
And the fabulous Betty Davis in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Because I think it's like, I wanted, you know, it to be like the frightening aspect of it, because it's terrifying when you see somebody in the clutches of possession, or you know, an extreme circumstance for a human being having some sort of a fit, or and I kind of wanted that, you know, I wanted it to be that sort of fear, I guess.
Face expression in some particular scenes of the film is quite real, meaning you totally believe it even if you don't believe in possessions. And I was just wondering how you got there, in other words, you know.
Well, I went down the demonically possessed shop. I don't know.
I guess the one on Third or the one on on Maple. I like the one on Maple better.
Yeah, we both went there.
Pretty captivated by your performance, and did it leave any like lasting effects on you? I mean, it must have been kind of creepy to get into this space every day, this mindset every day, and having to take that mask off at the end of the day. It must have been sort of a haunting experience for part of it. I mean, you must have had to go to some dark places.
Well, yes. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's like I'm trained as a theatre actress, and obviously doing a play like Medea night after night. You know, it takes its toll, because you go to, even, you know, like if this was a difficult place to go, I mean, only in as much as, well, she's possessed by 4 demons and they all speak in a different voice, but actually that's great fun as an actress to do. It's terrific fun. So it wasn't such a dark place, but you know, if you're going to where your kids are being murdered, your husband's being killed, there's war, death, then that is really, you know, which is why it takes a long time to come down after doing something intensely like that. With film, you have to have that same kind of, you know, kind of holding the energy in like a volcano. But essentially, when you've done the performance, when you're doing the performance, it's out, it's gone, you know. So I don't personally carry it around with me. I'm not a method actress, I would have to say. You know, I actually hold to the belief that we're all actors. You know, we've all been kids, and that's all it is. It's actually like keying into that. What would I do if I was a kid here? Oh, right, yeah. I mean, that's a bit flip, I suppose. It was a dark place to. We were filming in a veterinary hospital in Romania, and it was a deserted veterinary hospital, although parts of it were working. And you know, there was that, you had to shrug it off when you leave.
I heard it was based on a true story, this movie. Did you do any research to sort of look into that or to support that? Or did you have any findings for that to sort of help you get into character?
Yes, it was based on a true story. And yeah, this woman did slaughter 3 members of her church group, and she was being exorcised at the time. And I do watch a lot of, I love true crime, you know, I love crime drama, I love, you know, thrillers and all of that. So yes, and I watch them all, go to sleep listening to, we'll spray it with luminol. So it's like my bedtime lullaby is luminol. That was that part of it, but nothing else.
I was just curious with the found footage aspect of the film. In shooting it, did you find that added a certain level of realism to your acting that maybe wouldn't have been there had it been maybe a straight scripted film?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, that's a whole other thing. You know, found footage is an extremely difficult genre picture to make because, you know, with every shot you have to establish why the camera's there. Otherwise, the audience, if they don't believe the camera's not there for a second, so hence the video diary, hence the, you know, the surveillance cameras within the hospital, you know, and the, you know, the videographer going to the church to watch, you know, when the father is christening the child, and that very dramatic sequence. It also, it's, you know, so not glamorous. Just like, oh no, really, I've really got to look that ghastly. Okay.
Maria, I'm your daughter. Connect the cuts. Connect the cuts, connect.